everyone. Welcome to Source Snack Break. I am Ren with Source. Today is Tuesday, August 11th. This week, we continue our amazing showcase of all the great manufacturers that donated materials to our new flagship library here in Portland. So I'm really excited for today's guest. Before we get started, I'll explain a couple things about the webinar tool. You all are muted automatically. But as you can see, you have access to that live chat there on the right, so you can pop in your favorite emoji to try it out. You can also say, hey. You can also use the live chat to ask any questions or comment, and we'll be sure we will answer any questions that you have, so bring it on. We'll also send you a recording of the webinar after the presentation's over, so you can reference it later or send it to a friend, whatever you need. I'm really excited about today's guest. This is Cherie with Forbo. We're going to talk about Marmoleum, one of my most favorite products. Cherie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me here today.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and then a little bit about Forbo as a company before we get into it?
Okay, well, I'll make my introduction brief. So I'm Cherie with Forbo. I've been a rep for I've been a rep for almost 30 years now.
Wow.
Been with Forbo for over 17 and one of the best companies I've worked for. I graduated from Washington State University with a degree in interior design several years ago. And I live in Vancouver, Washington. I have one daughter who has twin boys that just turned 6 on Friday. And I get to enjoy them immensely. I have a husband and I have a dog. So there you go. Simple, quick. And then Forbo has been around for a really long time. And the product that I'm going to be focusing on today is Marmoleum. And it's been around for over 150 years, and excited to talk about it. I'm proud of the product, and everyone should specify it.
I am with you on that. First of all, before we get started, is your alma mater the one that makes the amazing cheese?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We love that cheese. I get distracted every time I think about it. Okay.
Good.
So let's talk about Marmoleum, which is a linoleum product. Can you talk about what linoleum is made out of?
You betcha. Yeah. So first off, I'm going to talk about our mission statement. So we reduce, reuse, recycle, and renew. And our manufacturing facilities are 100% renewable electricity within the manufacturing facility. I forgot to tell you, we're manufactured in Scotland and in Holland. Holland is our main manufacturing facility. If you ever go over to Europe after all this craziness gets over, we do tours and I can arrange those for you. So if you ever are over there and just want to do an hour-long walkthrough, it's a fantastic facility to walk through. It's been around for a long time. They have new computerized things and that, but they have some very old technology that's probably been around for 150 years, like our drying rooms. We're made of linseed oil, which is derived from the flax plant. We basically get the oil out of the flax plant. We call it linseed oil. It is basically it's a food grade material at this point. So it isn't like paints use linseed oil. That's different. They've added chemicals to it. We're pure. It gives off an omega fatty acid. So an omega fatty acid, we all know, is good for us. That's the only off-gassing it produces is omega fatty acid. Okay?
And let me just say that linoleum is one of my favorite smells.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It's so good. And I'm the nerd in the library that's always sniffing it. But it smells amazing. And I've learned through you is that actually we're learning that is really good for humans, that off-gassing is actually, we associate it with being very negative. But this one is actually quite positive for a body and their lungs. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. An omega fatty acid actually, so it helps you to create healthier interior, right? A lot of people take flaxseed as in their diet, or they ground up the flaxseed plant and put that in their diet. One of the things that I think is very interesting is at the manufacturing facility, very few people get sick.
Oh, interesting.
Because they are always exposed to this beautiful flaxseed. So the linseed oil has the omega fatty acid. Now we mix our pine rosin with it. Pine rosin is just pine sap from a tree. Okay, that has a natural natural bacterial side, right? So nothing can grow on it or multiply. So if a microorganism drops on it, it just sits there. It doesn't multiply and become something else worse. We combine the linseed oil and pine rosin and come up with our linoleum cement. Now the linoleum cement is kind of like, I always like to explain it like we're making pie dough. So now we have our Crisco, okay?
Yeah.
So we take the pine rosin linseed oil combination, which is our linoleum cement. We add our wood flour. That's just a finely ground up sawdust, okay? And this gives us the anti-static properties.
Oh, interesting.
So no dust or anything likes to stick to it. So for people who have asthma, this is a very excellent product for them as well. So hence education, healthcare, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we add limestone. Limestone is a hardener. It's chalk basically. So it's a whitener hardener. So it gives us a little bit of whiteness. As you can see, I'll hold this up really close. Our linseed oil is yellow. All our products have a yellow base. So in order to get a somewhat of a white linoleum, we have to have some of that limestone in there. And getting a white linoleum is probably rare. We don't have very many of those. Then we add our pigments, so we have some colors. And then we have for the sheet goods, we have a jute carrier, which is just a jute backing. And then we roll it out onto the jute carrier. So then we create our linoleum. So like making a pie, you roll it out and now you have your pie crust, right? So now we have our basis of our design. The product is actually marbleized within, so this is a couple different colors that are marbleized together to create a color. All right. And then it gets put into a drying room. So our drying room is 70 linear feet high.
Wow.
And there's about 5 miles of linoleum that's looped into this drying room or oven. Okay.
So if we're continuing the food metaphor, it's kind of like drying pasta, where you have everything sort of looped around.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. And so it hangs there for about 2 to 3 weeks because it's got to cook at a very low grade temperature. When it comes out, so at the beginning, it starts out like a noodle, right? When it comes out, it's stiffer, but not 100% to where it needs to be, okay? So sheet goods comes out at 850 PSI and the tile comes out at 1500 PSI, okay? So it's already fairly hard, but still soft enough to install, okay? Yeah. Once it gets installed is when the linseed oil is always oxidizing throughout the product's life, okay? So it gets harder and better with time. So it can get up to 3,500 PSI. So within a year, it can be very hard. But the cool thing about it is it can be repaired. So if you think about it, we're a wood floor. So if you have a scuff or a scratch or a gouge, you can just repair it with Marmoleum.
Oh, interesting.
And we call that hoofer doofer. You actually can take a paint scraper or a Dremel tool and grind the top of the linoleum. Of course, not the piece that's installed on the floor, but a scrap piece. And then you make a powder and then you add white Elmer's glue to it and you fill in the hole.
That's amazing.
So it is amazing. And that's a lifelong fix. So other minor scratches can just be buffed out with a buffer. Okay. So hence we are 100% bio-based. By the way that we are manufactured, whatever we take from the environment, so we grow product, we grow the flaxseed, we grow the wood, whatever we take from the environment, that's all we put back into the environment. So we are CO2 neutral.
Nice.
That's what that means. And we're cradle to gate. So once it hits after we're done in the manufacturing, that's why we're cradle to gate. We can't really say after that because who knows what you're going to do with the product. Right? Mm-hmm. So from cradle to gate, we are CO2 neutral. We also are red list free. We are phthalate free and we're PPC free.
I love it.
Which are all awesome.
Yeah.
We're repairable, as I said. The other thing that we really have been pushing is net fit seam. So with vinyls, all vinyls, you have to weld the seams. Otherwise, you have separation because vinyl shrinks with time, where linoleum doesn't shrink. Once it's installed, it is done hard, sit still. Okay. But so you don't have to weld it. So we are saying, please, let's go to net fit seams. We have high moisture resistant adhesives. It seals the seam, and a net fit seam is basically they underscribe the two pieces together and they fit together. Okay. Therefore, then you don't have that ugly weld that's on the product. I'm sure you've all seen that. That gets dirty. I don't know if I can show that, but the weld is just a lot of them did solid color weld, and then it was just this spot of adhesive that collects dirt. So now you could do a net fit seam where you don't have to have a weld on it.
Does that help with healthcare design? Because I know that's something that's really important to them, is it really does need to be an impermeable surface. Is that something that you can do in healthcare? Are there some areas where you do still need a weld, or is the seam actually pretty great?
The seam is actually pretty great. So, and it hides. So let me just, I know it's silly, but I'm going to hold this up. There's a seam right here.
Oh, wow.
You can't even, let's see if we can see. I don't know. Anyway, there's a seam right there. You can hardly see it. Whereas compared to here, you see both of them, whether it be, So it's just, it looks 100% better, but because everybody has the inclination, or that's what it used to be, that they think they have to weld it. But it is so think about putting tile in. We use tile all the time in healthcare, and they do not weld any of that. And it's solid and down. So let's use the same concept with sheet goods.
Got it. Speaking of that, we do have our first question. Awesome. They want to know if you have a list of recommended installers for the Portland metro area. It's one of their concerns is someone who knows how to work with Marmoleum.
Okay. Well, we used to do certification, and right now, of course, we are not doing certification. And I do have a list. Depends on if it's residential or commercial. Because everyone has its skill level, right? We do have some great flooring companies that work with really great installers. So yeah, I can help you out with that. You can reach out to me, and I can guide you in the right direction.
Perfect. And so I've added this little button here. You can smash that reach out now. So you can reach out to Cherie immediately and get satisfaction there if you need, Marty. So great question. Thank you for that. I want to chat a little bit about what can you do with Marmoleum? I feel like we know it was a sheet good, but with the seamless seams, we're starting to look at sort of playing with textures or playing with curves or playing with sort of customization. Like, what are some things that you're seeing people do with Marmoleum? I feel like it was one of those materials where you're like, we've been around for 150 years and now everyone realizes how cool we are. We've been here the whole time and now they're wanting to do new stuff with it. So what are you seeing from designers or from Forbo?
Oh, there's so many great things. So you can be as creative as you want. We have a local guy in Kent, Washington. It's called ultrasonic cutting. He'll cut a complete logo out. Hang on one second. Whole thing I have down here, but this is one example. So we can cut logos. We can cut a small, I have one piece that was an artist's drawing, and very small pieces, and he was able to cut it. It comes as a puzzle. So it comes all put together, and then the installer just installs it. So it isn't a costly thing. You would think, oh, now if you did curves or circles, we can have that just with the installer doing that work. They might charge you a little more for that, but adding design is fantastic. And using it as wayfinding, or right now we're looking at needing to mark flooring for COVID. This is a great opportunity to put some design stripes or design crosses in areas that actually aren't just tape, to put that into the design, which is an awesome piece. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. One thing I also see when I go to my local New Seasons grocery store is that they use it as a wall covering.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something that you see often?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's wall protection, great wall protection, because and it also, so it makes it easy to clean, gives them a tiny bit of acousticness to it, and also great for color.
Yeah.
We have some excellent, really bright, fun colors that can go on walls. I have a lot of times they'll do it in education more than healthcare, but I've seen it on the back walls behind the beds in the hospitals as protection. Legacy Salmon Creek has quite a few. ZGF did that architecture. That's been up for several years, probably 15, 20 years, close to 20. And it still looks great. So, and like if they get a dent, it can be repaired as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And countertops. So New
Yes.
Seasons has it on their countertops as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of healthcare, which is a huge concern right now, I know a lot of healthcare facilities, hospitals are moving towards sort of no PVC. So how do you work with, how should designers work with clients who are interested in going PVC free, or what can you talk to designers? Like, how could they talk to their clients about using linoleum, Marmoleum in a healthcare setting and sort of put their minds at ease about cleaning or, you know, fluids or like whatever it is that they do in healthcare? Like what should designers keep in mind?
Okay. Well, Marmoleum is easier to clean, doesn't collect dust. We do not require, we already provide you with a top shield too, which I didn't tell you about. It's a UV cured floor finish that's already on the floor. We've been working with local chemical companies like Ecolab or Diversey. And so we are creating kind of protocols that help people to be able to clean their facility better. Kaiser is one that we're on their schedule, and they've been using quite a bit of linoleum. So is Providence. So we are, and Legacy uses our product quite a bit. So we have Marmoleum in several healthcare facilities that are super happy with it. A lot of times we have to remember it is a natural product. It can be repaired. It is better indoor air quality for the patients and for the nurses, the staff, everybody that's working there. And you don't have to use toxic chemicals to keep it clean and keep it safe. So, but you can use a antiseptic or a quaternary product on it, but you just need to rinse it off. I mean, I've been in places where I went to a hospital and he said, something's leaching out of your product. Well, it was just the quaternary that was becoming sticky because they didn't rinse it. So then we just cleaned it up. And so, but the other thing that I do is I will go to the end user and help them with the maintenance protocol. And so that we all are on the same page. I have many hospitals that don't put finish on it at all. They just use our protocol. But then there's others who put a huge bright shine on it, and that's their protocol. That's okay too. Yeah.
And you can also cove it up a wall, right? You can curve it up.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. You can cove it up. We have this new product, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's called Armor Cove.
Yeah.
So it actually is a complete system that has the metal back and the metal cap. So it comes as like a piece of wood molding, but it's Marmoleum with a metal back, 100% guaranteed for life that it will never break through. That's one of the biggest issues, is that chairs will break through many of the standard coving. So it's a great new product called Armor Cove. We do have some new adhesives that go over 100% moisture. No moisture mitigation is needed. So that is another great thing that Forbo keeps striving for better. And our adhesives are all zero VOCs. So
love that. This product basically sells itself. I love it. It ticks all the boxes, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. I also want to talk about how you really have come up with a lot of sort of new looks. Traditionally, linoleum is thought as sort of this marbled look, which is the most traditional, but you've brought in some sort of wood looks with a more linear sort of striation and some textures on the surface. Maybe can you talk a little bit about like the new sort of looks that you're seeing that are popular?
Sure. You know, I want to remind everybody that always think about soil hiding. You know, right now everybody seems to think that plain solid is a good floor covering, but I'm telling you, if you plan around soil, there is soil and you know, thousands of people walk on the floor, and I always say, remember soil hiding. You know, so that's why a tiny bit of marbleization is good. But we do have, so our standard, I'm just going to go through really quick. Real is just the standard one that's been around forever. It's a marbleized pattern. It usually has 2 to 3 color variations in it. Fresco goes more solid color, but still has marbleization to it. We then have some new patterns. So, well, Vivace's been around forever. This has 8 different colorways in it. But I tell you, it's great for soil hiding, down corridors and etc. We have a brand new one called Splash. It is kind of a splash of color in there. There are some that are kind of wild, have pinks and blues in it, but then there's some really great ones. This one I think is fantastic. This is New Terra. It's a very small, more compact marbleization. We have our piano. I don't know if you can see that. It's linear. Everything's
okay.
on piano. Cocoa has actually some cocoa bean husk that has been ground up and put into the product.
Love that.
The concrete pattern is a more or less marble, still marbleized, but more tone on tone type thing. And these two kind of match. So if you're doing an area you want something more plain added to a brightness. We do have this slate, which has a texture to it, which I don't know if I can show.
Yeah.
Can see a little bit of a texture. It's called slate, which I have on some staircase at Skylakes Medical Center, which is in Klamath Falls, Oregon. We have this is the Walton, that is Walton Cirrus, has a little marbleization on Walton Plain. Please be careful with this one. It doesn't soil hide at all. And then we have our striato, which is our beautiful linear pattern, not trying to be wood grain, but it's being used quite a bit. We have some beautiful colors. And we have this other one, it's called Impreza. It is actually a beige linoleum on the back, and then on the linoleum is printed. And it is wood grain. Yeah. So it is different. And we are saying that maybe it isn't as repairable, but it's all wood grain. So if you did have damage, you could just make it look like a knot hole or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Creative.
Yeah. So it's not printed on any plastic. It's still PVC free, phthalate free, all that kind of good stuff. The ink is on the linoleum and then a floor finish put on top of it.
Awesome. Well, designers, you can always head to our website to order samples of all of these products immediately if you need satisfaction or you need that smell in your house like I do. In the meantime, if you want to register for another snack break, we have the whole month already up for you. So smash that register now button. Tomorrow we're talking casework, cabinetry, which I'm really excited about. But Cherie, it was amazing to chat with you about this product. It's so cool. I want to put it everywhere. Designers, let's put it everywhere because as we've learned, it's amazing. Hopefully we can all go to Holland and like see it being made. I'm really excited.
Maybe we make a tour of all of us.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you later. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.